Come on in, gather around, come close to the fire, but let's keep our voices down, all right? I know exactly why you're here. You've fled the fast-burning politics of the demonic crowns. You've been running from the crumbling stone of cities that promised you absolute salvation, but, let's be real, only delivered hierarchy and fear. But listen to me very carefully. Those heavy city walls, they aren't going to save you out here. The only thing that can be your shield now is reading the forest's signs, understanding its ecology. Consider this explainer your ultimate survival guide. I am your guide, and as we sit here in the deep woods, we are going to learn how to survive the green law of Sylvae Thest.
Now, to survive in this domain, you've got to immediately, and I mean right now, abandon the human idea of kings and rulers. Look around. Sylvae Thest is not some giant, ancient tree wearing a crown. No, Sylvae Thest is the overarching network. It is the absolute patience and the silent agreement between 1,000 different living things. The moment you step into these woods, every single leaf becomes a listener. Every root beneath your boots becomes a road for truth. So get this into your heads. You aren't just hiding in a place. You are standing inside a living, breathing witness.
Section 1. The First Groves Alliance. Okay, before we walk any further into the dark tonight, you've really got to understand how this forest's power was actually born. And trust me, it is the exact opposite of those towering, isolating thrones you are running away from. The oldest tales you see, they tell us of a time before roads, when the land just trembled under an open sky. And then a single seed fell into a crack in the earth. Now here's the kicker. This seed didn't ask permission. Not from kings, not from demons, not from men. It simply opened. And from it grew not military rows of identical, perfect pines, but a wild living disagreement. Some trees grew tall, some got all twisted up, some were bitter, and some bore heavy thorns. The first grove was essentially an alliance of mutual survival. When early holy figures actually tried to bless it, sure, it accepted the blessing. But it firmly, absolutely refused to become property. It answered only to one thing: living balance.
Think about what you just left behind and compare it to the realm you've just entered. On one hand, you have demonic crowns. They force order through one single ruler, relying on isolation and blinding speed just to terrify their subjects into submission. But the first grove? It teaches us that true unbreakable strength comes from ecology. It comes from difference, joined by mutual need. Demons want to narrow the world down into a single sterile path of obedience. But the forest? The forest widens it. It offers countless animal paths, root tunnels, and canopy openings. You are safe here tonight for one exact reason. Nothing here stands alone.
Section 2. Reading the Forest Signs. A field diagnostic.
Now let's be clear. The forest doesn't just protect you because you're frightened. If you want to make it through the green law alive, you literally have to become a student of the undergrowth. You have to read the forest's biological evidence to see where its slow, inescapable justice is doing its work. Pay close attention to the ground beneath you, because it's basically a diagnostic map. For instance, moss. Moss grows soft and thick where violence believes itself to be forgotten. It actually maps out false sacred places. What about fungus and mushrooms? They bloom directly over buried rot and hidden bargains. And decay? Listen, do not fear the rot of the forest. Decay is simply how the woods turn endings into nourishment. It actively weakens demonic fear by making death fundamentally useful to new life. In a way, decay is the forest's active defense system against the sterile fire of the crowns.
You've got to realize, a forest does not keep records like some city clerk with a quill and parchment. The forest remembers your trespasses through ecological disturbance. It remembers the salt your sweating skin leaves on the bark. It remembers the displaced beetle, the crushed fern under your heel, even the sudden, suspicious silence of the birds. And it waits. It waits incredibly patiently for winter light to expose what the thick leaves of summer tried to hide. You simply cannot lie to an environment that physically feels the actual weight of your footsteps.
Let me give you a perfect example. Lesser demons once thought they could hide their dirty little bargains from the high crowns by fleeing into these exact woods. For a short time, they actually thought they'd succeeded. They whispered to exiled officials, made deals with smugglers. But the forest wasn't hiding them. Oh no. It was simply letting them reveal the full, ugly shape of their trespass. The very next season, the forest made their secrecy bloom visible. Fungi grew in perfect rings right around their hidden altars. Thorn hedges aggressively curved toward their buried treasures. And get this, a white stag walked right into the human capital, carrying on its antlers the ribbons of children who had vanished. Hiding inside a witness is definitely not escaping judgment.
Section 3. Surviving the Three Shadows. The Trials of Ilian Mar. To truly wrap your head around how to walk here, consider the case study of a human named Ilian Mar. Now, Ilian came here carrying Belial's fire, a very dangerous ember of demonic power. He came seeking a place where no throne could hear him think, and he was forced to learn how to walk without burning the path beneath him. Sylvae Thest gave Ilian 3 specific shadows to cross, testing his fundamental understanding of natural balance. First up, the Canopy. The Canopy scatters light into 1,000 pieces, teaching him that complexity naturally defeats the simple, blinding beam of tyranny. Second, the undergrowth. Thorns caught his clothes, snagging him, slowing him down. But they didn't attack him. They taught him that resistance isn't always hostility. Sometimes, thorns are just boundaries to keep massive power from trampling the small. And finally, the roots. Down underground, completely unseen, teaching the ultimate lesson of interdependence. Because let's face it, a lone crown ultimately betrays every root that holds it up.
When Ilian finally emerged from these ecological trials, he had a distinct green line right across his palm. And to be clear, that mark was not a brand of ownership like a demon would give you. No, it was a chilling, permanent reminder. A reminder that you must walk through this world as if the ground itself can feel you. He had to learn the profound, life-saving difference between the forest's silence and the forest's permission.
Section 4. Patience outlives demonic fire. So let us compare the Master of Forest's patient, ecological witnessing against the frantic, fast-paced destruction of the high demonic crowns you're currently fleeing. When Sylvae Thest actually manifests, he does not appear as some towering, muscle-bound warrior looking for a fistfight. He appears as a diagnosis of the intruder, literally. To Baal, who heavily relies on invisibility, the Forest Master appears as a wood where every single trunk bears hidden eyes. To Valak, he appears as an insulting, infinitely complex maze of life that simply refuses to be solved. His form is ecology, automatically pushing back against whatever unnatural force tries to dominate it.
The absolute best evidence of this patience is written right in the ash. Beelal, as you know, loves how quickly his fire can end a thing. He visited these woods once and scorched the earth. But the forest offers the ultimate insult to his arrogant flames: regrowth. While Beelal proves how quickly raw power can destroy, Sylvae Thest proves that endings are not always obedient. The Master simply pointed to tiny, vibrant green shoots rising right up from the ash. Beelal left a massive scorch mark on a stone as a signature, and by dawn, the moss was already quietly writing over it.
You see, the forest rarely fights demonic magic head-on with lightning bolts or swords. Against isolating magic, it just casually provides another animal path. Against commanding, hypnotic rhythms, it scatters attention with the sound of insects, rain, and rustling branches.
It simply slows armies down. It hides the witnesses. It makes conquest impossibly, ridiculously expensive, turning the sharp pride of crowns into the loud clumsiness of strangers just stumbling over roots in the dark.
Section 5. The price of shelter. But hear me well, travelers, because this is absolutely crucial. Do not make the mistake of thinking this canopy will protect you simply because you are frightened humans on the run. The forest is not your servant. The forest only grants sanctuary to those who understand restraint. You cannot come in here and ask, how can the forest serve us? You must ask, what must we stop harming before the forest can stand beside us? If you build a camp and take wood without replanting, if you hunt when you are not genuinely hungry, or, worst of all, if you try to hide your own crimes beneath its leaves, well, you will wake up to find roots violently breaking your foundations. Shelter here is not an escape from responsibility. It is the breathing space granted so you can return wiser.
A demon, or even a corrupt human, cannot easily conquer this place because there is no single throne to usurp. There's no king to behead. There is only a living court of functions. We have moss archivists silently preserving hidden events. We have stag heralds carrying physical warnings through the brush. Owl jurors hearing lies whispered at night. Thorn wardens closing paths to those with violent intentions, and mycelial messengers, pale threads beneath the soil carrying news miles away before a horse could even be saddled. To corrupt a system like this, you would literally have to make the whole forest forget how to be a forest.
And so, we reach the end of our guide for tonight, but truly, this is just the beginning of your journey. As you step deeper into the green silence, I want you to remember the lesson of the first grove. A crown is large because it is terrified of not being seen. A seed is small because it is not finished yet. Hold that small seed of patience against the darkness of the crowns. A forest does not ask who rules the path. It asks whether the path deserves to remain open. Ask yourselves, travelers, do yours? Keep your eyes on the moss, respect the thorns, and walk as if the ground can feel you. Stay safe out there.